So purpose, nothing more than an action to be taken to create a specific result. I'll say that again. Purpose in almost every context you can think about. And I've been hard pressed to come up with any scenario where it doesn't mean this. A purpose is an action to be taken to create a specific result. And if you guys have heard anything from Travis, you know he's all about defining an aim in life, getting clear on what you are aiming at. And it's about identity, right? Who do I need to become? What do I need to step into? So this thing for purpose for me, it got really, really, really simple, really, really, really fast. In a single day, and we have all had those kind of moments where you just have the epiphany, right? And I realized, well, okay, well, and I like questions. I started asking the question, what if purpose, what if my purpose is nothing more than an action to be taken to create a specific result? And that caught me off guard because I had never asked that question before. And you guys have probably heard this, is that the quality of your life, the quality of your circumstances, the quality of your business, the quality of your relationships, the quality of health is directly tied to the quality of the types of questions that we ask in life. So this question for me, purpose, what if my purpose is nothing more than an action to be taken to create a specific result? I kind of started to follow this line of thinking. I was like, well, what result do I want? And that's the question that I want to propose, or is it propose? Yeah, pose to you guys today, is what do you want? Do you know what you want? Do you actually know what you want in your health? Do you know what you want in your relationships? Do you know what you want in your marriage? Do you know what you want in your relationship with your kids? Do you know what you want in your financial situation? Have you been specific? Raise your hand if you've heard of SMART goals. Anyone heard of SMART goals before? They're very useful, very, very useful. Specifically in this context, is that if it's not specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based, it's really, really, really hard. Now, this kind of gets skewed as you get into bigger 5, 10, 20-year goals. But at least for these smaller goals, like for the next year, do you have a specific goal, something you are aiming at in your health, in your relationships, in your finances, in your marriage, in every single sector of life? Because in that moment in the kitchen while I was cleaning, I thought I had an idea. I had an idea of the man that I wanted to become, and I was working towards that in some capacity, but this changed everything for me. Because if you ask the question, what if purpose is nothing more than an action to be taken to create a specific result, you start to realize, oh my gosh, if I'm going to drive my car, the purpose of driving my car is to get where I want to go, which means the act of me driving the car is filled with purpose. It is purposeful. Are you guys with me? Let me get some head nods. Have I lost you? Are you with me? I got a couple of people. You with me? All right. So the purpose of driving the car, right? There's Blair. What's up, girlfriend? Good to see you. The purpose, right, of driving the car is to get where we want to go. Why am I sharing this? If you want to feel more purpose, if you want to feel more meaning, if you want to find more, it's not just find, it's creating. I still slip up with old programming of saying like, find your purpose and discover your purpose. I don't subscribe to that anymore. I don't necessarily disagree with others that talk about finding purpose and discovering purpose. I know what they mean, but now I've changed that, and I've started to recognize in my own life that purpose is nothing more than something that I create, that you create, that we all have the opportunity to create. And so let's simplify this for a second. Scott, I'm gonna call on you, brother. Would you mind unmuting yourself? So you work for AMCO, right? Business is crushing it, 50K last week, on track to another 50K week. Okay. Why are you in business, Scott?
To make money.
Why?
Because my truck isn't new enough, my house isn't new enough, and I don't own every pair of Jordans yet.
Okay. Why do those things matter to you?
Because they're shiny.
Okay. Why do shiny things matter to you?
That's a really good question. Do you really want to get into this? Yeah, we can get into this, because I have
cool
assigned a certain part of my identity to my things.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Say that again, Scott.
Because I've assigned a certain value of my identity to my things.
Why have you done that?
Because things have value. And if I have things of value and I equate myself to things of value, I have value.
Why is it so important for you to have value?
Because if you don't have value, then what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Who told you that?
Nobody specifically that I can identify told me that. I've come to that through my previous life experience.
Okay. Is that true? That you have, say what you said again. Actually, let's repeat it. So that last part you said, would you mind saying that again? And thank you for volunteering. I know I put you on the spot here, brother.
If you, now I don't mean to accuse anybody, this is looking inward to me. If you, Scott, don't have value, then what are you doing? What is your purpose? What is your why? And what are you even doing taking up space?
Okay.
I don't know if that's what you wanted. That's what you got.
I love it. I love it. I'm just letting it sit for a moment for all of us. Because Scott, that's not a question that is just specific to you. I think all of us have asked those questions before. And thank you for volunteering. I appreciate you letting me kind of call you out there, brother. Here's the purpose, right? The purpose of asking these questions when we dig in deep is we start to get a deeper understanding of what drives us, right? All of us are driven by different things. So the three pillars we talk about, right? What are they, Scott? We got time, money, and what else? What are the three pillars of the inner circle? Time, money.
I'm embarrassed. I don't know this.
Come on, Chase, help us out. I'm a newbie. I get a pass.
Purpose.
He just revoked my membership.
Okay. Scott, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Michael, I'm going to call on you next, brother.
Oh,
Welcome to the squad, man.
well, thank you.
You okay participating like Scott? You don't get an option. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, Michael, why are you here?
For direction.
Okay. Why don't you have direction? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I didn't know it was an ongoing thought. Continue. I apologize.
No, that's fine. Direction, mostly.
Okay. Why don't you have direction?
I feel I have completed everything else that everybody else wanted me to be in my life, and I don't know what I want to do now.
Okay. Why is it so important for you to get direction?
Because that's how I've been programmed growing up.
Okay. Is that true?
I guess I've relied on it quite a bit, yes.
Okay. So what do you think you're going to get when you find direction? What are you missing right now?
Purpose.
Purpose.
Honestly, purpose. I don't know what I'm not fulfilled. So there's just there's something missing, and I need to figure that out.
Why is it so important to you to be fulfilled?
Creates happiness.
Okay. Why do you want to be happy?
Because I've been unhappy for most of my life, and I want change.
Okay. Why is change so important to you?
Because I've been scared of it my whole life.
Why not stay the same? What's the cost?
Cost would be not taking a risk, not finding out what my true potential is.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. You're in good hands here. I'll tell you that.
Thank you.
The leaders of this community. Lean into Travis, lean into Chase, lean into Parker. Let's flesh some of this out. Scott, Michael, thank you for participating. As you can see, what I started asking there is just a very simple question: is why? And many of us have not been conditioned to ask that question, why? And I want to show of hands. How often, or maybe let me think of how I want to frame this. Raise your hand if you want to have something in your life you want to fix right now. You want something fixed. Okay. Brendan's perfect. Good to know. Love it, Brendan. All tens. Brandon. I'm sorry, Brandon. How often, and I'd love to know, Blair, I'm going to call on you if that's okay. Blair, with the thing that you want fixed, what's the most common question you're asking about it?
That's a good question. There's a lot of questions.
Okay, just lay them out here for me.
Oh, think just so like what questions do I ask myself to fix the problem?
So you're looking at a problem. What and if you are you comfortable sharing what problem that you've got top of mind right now, or that you've been dealing with?
My life.
Okay. All right. So the thing you're wanting to fix is your life, right? So what are the questions you're asking yourself?
I don't know. Am I doing enough? I'm a single mom, and I run a business. So I think, am I doing enough in my child's life? Am I doing enough in my business? Am I doing enough for myself?
Are you?
I probably am, but I don't feel like I am.
Okay. So which is true? Are you, or are your feelings dominating you? Are you a good mother?
Yes.
Are you a good business owner?
Yes.
Are you a good human?
Yes.
Okay. Well, tell those thoughts to go to hell.
Okay.
Okay. So that's number one. But number two, right? The questions you're asking about your life, right? Most of what we do is we ask the question, what do I need to do to fix this? Right? Have you asked that question, Blair? Like, what do I need to do to fix my life?
Yeah.
Okay. Every one of us, when we look at the problems in our lives, and I did this for years, and it's only been in the last couple of years where I started. The reason I'm asking all these questions, guys, is because I have realized your life will change in direct proportion to the quality of questions that we ask. So for you, Blair, I would like to propose to you a different question. Instead of what do you need to do to change your life, I would encourage you to start asking yourself, who do you need to become to change your life? Now, many of you know this. Life is a mirror. Life is a mirror. And what we see around us most often is a direct reflection of things that need to be resolved within us. So if there's a lot of chaos around you, I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I'd bet that there's a lot of chaos within you. Now, Blair, you have a beautiful, beautiful soul. I can tell just from this conversation. And I have a feeling that you have lived your life in tremendous self-sacrifice for your babies and for the people around you. And you have done whatever it takes to just make it happen. And I want you to know, on behalf of every single person on this call, I'm honored to be speaking to you. You are an incredible human being. I'm going to keep this PG-13, but you can tell all those thoughts to go to hell. I'd like a stronger word there, but okay. What we have to start doing is we have to start asking different questions. And so for you, Blair, and for everyone listening, I have found in my life that the most useful question that solves our questions around purpose, Michael, like we were just talking about, around direction, around vision, around calling, around meaning, around fulfillment. Those questions are directly and indirectly addressed and solved by asking the question, who do I need to become? Who do I want to become? When you get crystal clear on that, which is very, very challenging, because you walk down the street and you can ask 1,000 people, you say, what do you want in life? They can't tell you. Most people just say, well, I want $1 million. All my problems will go away. And then you kind of chuckle, especially Travis. He's like, oh yeah. Right? Most people say like, oh, I want more sex. I want more money. I want to get married. I want kids. I want whatever, right? Some people can tell you what they want, but most people, you know what most people can tell you? Everything they don't want. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be on this hospital bed. I don't want to have cancer. I don't want to lose my kids, right? We say, I don't want all the time. When you get clear on the man or woman that you want to become, which is a process, it takes time. And I'm going to give you guys an exercise I want you to write down, and I want you guys to feel free to do this. And then if you end up doing it, take a picture of it, throw it on your stories on social media over the next week, and let me know, and I'll reshare it and I'll cheer you on. It's a very simple exercise. You take a sheet of paper, you need to put a line down the middle. And on the left-hand side of the page, you write out every single area of your life that you are dissatisfied. Michael, I don't mean to call you out here. This is just to call you up because I needed somebody to tell me this. And I'm grateful someone did. You will get direction when you discover who you are. You don't know who you are right now, brother. You don't know what you carry. This is why I tell you that being in this community is one of the best things that you ever joined, because these men and these women will help you, remind you, and help you rediscover who you really are, apart from all that bullshit programming that got conditioned into all of us. Once you discover who you really are at your core, direction will no longer be a problem in your life. I can guarantee you that. But until you take the time to go within yourself, and I use this term I like to call fierce empathy. You've got to get brutally honest by staring yourself in the mirror. Every one of us do. Scott, Brandon, Dennis, iPhone, Lions Not Sheep Man. What's up, dude? Don't know your name. Good to see you. Desiree, Blair. The change happens when we look in the mirror and we get really honest with ourselves about the things in our life that are out of alignment. But how do we find alignment? How can you align with purpose? If you don't know what you want and you don't know who you are, how can you even live aligned? And what happens, and Blair, thank you so much for sharing it. What happens, we all deal with what Blair deals with. We start to believe the stupid feelings and these thoughts that come out of nowhere because we're not anchored into truth. We don't know who we really are. We don't know what we're capable of, and we don't know what we carry. When you don't know those things, all you align with is what feels good. This is why we have such a problem in America today. We see it. Every one of you sees it on the news and social media. Everyone is led and governed by their feelings. And I'm the feelings guy. I literally have spent my career learning about emotional intelligence and understanding empathy and understanding the core of how we operate when it comes to emotions and regulating and understanding how to interpret all of those things. And I will tell you that being led by your feelings is one of the fastest paths to misery. It will feel good in a moment. Travis and I think we talked about this at one point. It's a lot like sin. For those of you that have a religious orientation, feels great in the moment. You're not thinking about any of the consequences until you're like, oh crap. When you know who you are, what you need to do gets crystal clear. Because once you can live with yourself in a place of honor, respect, and commitment. Somebody talked about this earlier. Desiree, are you still with us, Desiree? I wanted to call you out too. It was amazing what you shared. Thank you so much for sharing. You with us still, my friend?
Yes, I am.
So Desiree, you said something about keeping your word. And guys, I'm going to come back to that exercise in a second. I wanted to give you time to get a piece of paper to write this down. But Desiree, you said something that was absolutely incredible. I want to ask you a question. Do you know why you're more committed to keep your word to other people than to yourself?
I literally have thought about this question so many times and I don't know why I can't figure it out. So no.
Okay. Would you like the answer?
Yes.
Okay. Because in one of those scenarios, there are two people involved. In the other scenario, there's only one person involved.
Yeah.
When we give our word to other people, you know what's on the line, Desiree?
A relationship?
A relationship and our integrity. So Desiree, I'm going to ask you another question. If I give you my word that I'm going to do something and then I don't do it, are you going to lose a little bit of trust in me?
Yes.
If I give you my word again and I don't do it again, are you going to start to lose a little more trust in me?
Yeah.
And if I give you my word over and over and over and over and over again, and I keep breaking it, will there come a point where you will lose all respect for me?
Absolutely.
Fam, every one of you on here, why would we think that it would be any different for ourselves?
Yeah.
It's really hard to know what we want and what our purpose is and who we are when we are constantly breaking trust with ourselves. Eventually you break that trust over and over. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm not going to snooze. I'm going to, as Trav says, and I stole this from Trav, is one of my favorite lines. When dad gets home, he sets the tone. Moms, same true for you. Who are you showing up as every single day? Are you keeping your word to yourself? Because that's the other side of the coin in integrity. And if you're constantly breaking trust within yourself, it's no wonder why you don't know what you want. It's no wonder you don't know who you are or what your purpose is, because you're completely out of alignment because you're aligning with feelings. And I hope you guys hear my heart in this. I'm not saying this to accuse any one of you. I'm telling you everything that I needed to hear that no one told me. And I had to figure out through a lot of trauma and pain and therapy and ending up with a Glock to my head, staring in the mirror, wanting to end my life. When I had achieved the American dream, I had the glass corner office, I had the company car, I had the six-figure salary, I was winning on every front, according to what the world said was winning. So this exercise that I want to challenge you guys with, and I'll wrap it up here and we can go into some Q&A time, if that's cool, Trav. Are we good with that? Yeah? Okay. On the left-hand side of this page, I want you guys to take a piece of paper. You're going to divide it line down the middle. On the left-hand side of the page, I'm going to write out every single thing that you're dissatisfied with in life. You can chunk it into buckets if you'd like. You can take the 3 core buckets: health, wealth, relationships, if you want to do that, right? What are you dissatisfied with in your health? What are you dissatisfied with in your relationships? And what are you dissatisfied with in your wealth? You can get as granular as you want. This exercise, there's a lot of play. And then on the right-hand side of the page, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to write what you want instead. And if you don't know what you want instead, just write the opposite of what's on the other side. So Desiree, I want to call you up, my friend, not call you out.
Okay.
You're not poor. Stop saying the word poor. Get it out of your vocabulary. Poor is a mindset. Broke is a temporary situation. You are not poor, my friend. You're broke temporarily. And you're going to crush it and kick ass and take names, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. I know you are. Guys, when we take the time to do this simple exercise, and this was an exercise that one of the first coaches I ever had me do, sat me down, divided this piece of paper, and said, I want you to write out everything you're dissatisfied with. And guys, I broke. What I saw on that paper disgusted me. I was about 60 pounds heavier than I am right now. I was dealing with constant suicidal ideation, anxiety, panic attacks. I almost wrecked my truck driving 80 miles an hour down the road. Almost punched a hole through my windshield. I actually cracked a windshield because I punched it so hard. I didn't even know that was possible. Rage and anger and so much dissatisfaction. And everyone around me, fam, would have said that I was winning because I knew how to wear all the masks. I knew how to be who I needed to be in that moment. But I had no purpose. I didn't know what direction I wanted to go. And all I knew in that moment, which is why I want to honor every single one of you, is that you have submitted yourselves in a form of accountability. Desiree, the reason that we struggle with keeping our word to ourselves is because we're not accountable to anyone else. So I'd encourage you in this community, you find someone that you get accountable to that will hold you to the standard. And when you guys each do this exercise and you have your dissatisfaction on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, you write out what you want. The next question you ask yourself is, who do I need to become for that to become my reality? Who do I need to become in my health, in my relationships, and in my wealth? Now, this doesn't mean that we forget who we are. There's a part of you that's always going to be you. But there are things in you that need to die, be put to death. And there are things in you that need to be resurrected. Things that programming, Michael, shoved down. All the baggage, all the shit, all the things, stuff our parents said to us, stuff our church said to us, stuff the government said to us, the news said to us. There are two things that have to happen simultaneously. You have to start being reborn, those things that were put to death, and then you need to put some things to death. Some things got to go, right? Some things have to be removed from our lives. And when we start to do this, we start to do this exercise, we start to get clear on what we want and who we want to become, who we need to become. What you need to do gets crystal clear. And every single thing you do in your life starts to have purpose and meaning, because now who I am today, it's a very simple yes or no when things pop up. Is this aligned with the husband, the father, the entrepreneur, the leader that I said that I would be or not? If it's not, it's a hard no. I don't have to negotiate anymore. There's no me negotiating with my alarm clock that goes off at 6:30 in the morning. Like, oh, I could really use that extra hour of sleep. I got 3 kids, fam. I could use some extra sleep for real. They're young. Some of you do as well. I'm saying all this, guys, not because I have all the right answers. I don't have all the right answers. Travis will tell you that. I'm a freaking knucklehead in certain areas. But what I have been able to figure out in this thing we call life is how to create a life that is filled with purpose and meaning. Because when you do that exercise and you start to get clear on what needs to change in you in order for you to become that person, maybe you got to stop going to those certain restaurants, hanging out with those friends, having those conversations, forcing some boundaries. When you start to do that, now, again, what you need to do to fix your life, Blair, what you need to do to fix your business, what you need to do to get direction, what we need to do to fix our health, what we need to do gets crystal clear, because all we have to ask every day is say, okay, is this action, is this behavior, is this belief, is this thinking pattern, is what I am doing today aligned with the man or woman that I said that I would be? And if it's not, then it's a hard no. If it is, I do it regardless of how I feel. You guys with me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Coming for a smooth landing. I'm going to share a quick little story. We'll go into Q&A. Sorry, I'm going long, Trav. This past weekend, I failed as a dad. Pretty bad. It was a very powerful, useful lesson. Now, I want each of you to remember this, is that we've all seen the graphs, right? It's like success, fail, success, fail, success, fail. Failure is not final, ever, unless you give up. But failure, I think you probably each have heard this before, is feedback, if we're open to it, if we're willing to humble ourselves. So I took my family to Disney World this past weekend. We surprised my mom and my kids, went to Disney World. I'm getting on the Dumbo ride, and the entire day I've got my phone out, right? Who here has kids? Raise your hand if you got kids. Almost everybody's got kids. All right. Recording everything, capturing the memories. I get on Dumbo and I had this thought. I'm with my 5-year-old daughter. She's almost 6, getting ready to ride Dumbo. And I pull my phone out because I want to capture the moment, right? And I look at her. I just have this thought in a moment. And I looked at her and I said, Emmy, sweetheart, does it bother you that I like pull my phone out all the time to record stuff and to do pictures and everything? And she kind of squirmed a little bit. She's like, no, it's okay. And I said, sweetheart, would you rather daddy just ride the ride with you and have fun and put my phone away? And she kind of got all bashful and quiet. And she said, yeah, Daddy, I'd really just like to ride the ride with you. And guys, I share that story because I realized that what I was doing in that moment was I was trying to live in the future. I wasn't being fully present. I was trying to capture a moment that I could look back on in the future. That's all that pictures and videos are, right? And I realized in that moment, I was so withdrawn from the present reality. I was so obsessed with capturing this moment that I was ruining the moment. The reason that I share that with you is that this moment is all that we have. You get to decide who you're going to be the moment we get off this call. You get to decide that right this second. You get to decide it when you go to bed tonight, when you wake up tomorrow morning. You get to decide who you want to be. So I'm going to leave you with a question, and then we'll go into more questions. We'll go into Q&A. What if the version of you, and you guys can feel free to write this down. What if the version of you that you are currently occupying, this version that you see, what if that's not the real you? What if the real you is the one that you can be? What if the real you is the one that you can be, but the reason it feels uncomfortable, and you don't have to write this last part down, I'm going to share this. The reason it feels uncomfortable, the reason you feel like an imposter, the reason you wonder if you're not good enough is because you've been living this fake version for so long, you don't even know who you are anymore. When I first had a coach tell me that, I wanted to punch him in the face. It's like, who do you think you are? But it struck a nerve because I felt like an imposter. I felt like I was a fraud. I felt like I can't pretend to be that person. I can't walk that way and talk like that way and believe those things and operate that way. That's fake, right? And everybody's all on the authentic bandwagon right now. Like, don't be fake, don't be fake, don't be fake. What if this version that we are all occupying right now is actually the limited fake version of us? And the real version of us is the one that is committed, that knows that they are good enough, that knows that they are capable, that is committed to themselves just as much as they're committed to everyone else, committed in their health, in their relationships, in their business, in their wealth, with their time, right? With their money, and in their purpose. What if your purpose is to become that? And this journey along the way of becoming more and more of who you were really created to be, now everything in life has purpose. Everything in life has meaning. The reason I go to the gym is filled with purpose. It is on purpose and it is filled with purpose. So I feel like I'm living on purpose and I'm experiencing purpose because it has a purpose for me to be the father I want to be, because I want to roll around on the floor with my kids as long as I can. All right, I'm done. I'll shut up now. Let's talk, fam. We got questions. Are we okay on time, Trav? I know we're going long. I apologize. I blabbermouth. Somebody just needs to tell David to shut up sometime.
No, David, thank you. That was amazing, man. That was amazing. Thank you. And I love pouring into our members. That's incredible. Don't ever apologize for that. Unmute yourselves, guys. Anybody that has any questions, or like we have limited time with David. So
can I add something to the end of what you were just saying, David?
Come on, brother. I'm always here.
And this is for everybody, and I know, and you're gonna agree with this too. And I think you must have been coached by Jesse Elder or something. But anyways, another reason with what the end of what he was just saying too is because you living this other life or not who you want to be is because you're so worried of being judged by others as well. And that's a massive thing that was also pushed in my face by a coach when I hired my first coach as well. Who gives a fuck what anybody thinks about you? Because at the end of the day, it's none of your business what anyone thinks about you. And when you get that drilled and engraved into your mind, your life will drastically change. And then you can really become who you're supposed to become. And that's who you are in your heart. And God tells you that you're supposed to be. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick too, because I love everything that you said. Nothing that I don't already know or that I don't already live. So appreciate you, brother. It's always great to get refreshed about it too.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that, man. Questions, thoughts, anything? Here to serve, fam. Got any questions? I'm here.
Guys, feel free to unmute yourselves. So we talked a little bit before, right, David? Just a few minutes before the call, and we had something in common. You know, the control piece. I think what you've talked about really helps you define that, right? And understand what to control. Could you maybe go into that just a little bit for a few minutes here before we have to cut out?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you guys, thank you for bringing that up, Chase. It's so powerful. Is that most people I have found, and I think we can all attest to this, most people spend their entire lives trying to control things that they were never made to control. And they fail to control the only things that are actually within their control. You have to control what you can control. You can't control, I think Chase talked about this at the beginning. You can't control an assistant quitting. You can't control a team member leaving. You can't control what your spouse says. You can't control what your kids say. You can't control the government. You can't control the news. But you can control how you relate to every one of these situations. You can choose to be okay. You can choose to be happy. You can choose to walk in joy and peace and contentment and love, all the fruits of the Spirit. You can choose to walk that way. It's hard. It's really, really, really hard. Because everything in our culture and society is going to try and convince you that you should be engaged and involved in trying to change things that you were never meant to control.
Dennis, what's your question?
Thank you,
Dennis,
Chase.
got a
I
question.
appreciate it. So if you've ever heard of like 6 degrees of separation or 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, there's these things in our world that attract people together. So I was connected to Travis Ritchie and David Waldy from 2 different individuals. So the fact that they are coming together in my life on this call, and thank you, Travis, for inviting me in, is so serendipitous and warms my heart seeing these 2 great men on my screen next to one another who've I'd connected with many times in my life. And I will tell everyone on here that both of these men at difficult times that I've gone through and leaving, I was a middle school principal, leaving being a principal, being on Skid Row, like suicidal ideations, questioning every decision I ever made in my life, trying to build my business of building men, helping young men. Both of these men have taken time out of their day, out of their lives to talk with me, not for any financial gain, just because they are great men. And they have helped me through difficult situations and helped me build my business and what I'm doing right now. And there are 2 people that I hold near and dear to my heart. I love them both immensely. And I like congratulate this community for coming together. There's such strength in community. We can live so much more when there are many hands lifting something together. And the fact that everyone here is coming on this group, I apologize for the beginning, I was driving, but I'm honored to be here. Love both of you guys and just keep up this work. Everyone here, I love what I'm hearing. It's just been an honor. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the group. So thank you.
Dennis, we love you, brother. Thank you, man. That means the world. One other thing real quick, I wanted to echo from what Chase just said and write it down. Chase has got it on his keyboard. He said, is control what you can control. And one of the things that we can control, I just saw this in the chat, I wanted to echo it. Travis said, in order to love who you are, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. Michael, brother, you couldn't control a lot of that shit. Right?
None of it.
Your path is to take the lessons, to learn and to grow. And in time, you will come to a place of gratitude for all of it. Not grateful that it happened to you. There's a bunch of shit that happened in my life. I am not grateful that it happened, but I am grateful for what came out of it, because I believe with everything in me that God takes the ashes and he forms beauty from it. The fire can rampage the forest, but it brings new growth. And so I'd encourage you and everyone here, when you're looking at your past and you're looking at your decisions and you're looking at the choices that you've been making day in and day out, don't beat yourself up. Guilt and shame and condemnation, they're worthless. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's what fierce empathy is. You got to see, hear, and understand yourself, but be fiercely committed to speaking the hard truth in love to yourself in the mirror, and also having people around you, like this community, to call you to a higher standard. That even though you've been through the stuff, I'll tell you just from firsthand experience, there's a whole lot of the world that is just comparing scars and licking wounds, and nobody's healing, and nobody's getting better, and nobody's moving forward or staying stuck. You don't have to stay stuck when you start to control what you can control. And the easiest place, I'll be honest with you guys, the easiest place that I found is starting with your health. I'm not saying don't have snacks. I'm not saying you got to go to the gym 7 days a week. I'm not saying you got to take cold plunges. But are you at least being intentional? And I can't answer that for you. Desiree, I see that hand.
Hey, sorry. I wasn't sure if we had time for just one more question. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good as long as Travis and Chase are in charge.
Go ahead, Des.
Okay.
Can't see you.
I'm okay. I know I'm driving. It's just a bad
okay.
angle. You
You're
know,
okay.
the angles, like just kidding. But sorry guys. But I don't know if I'm going to phrase this question correctly, but it kind of is bouncing off of like what you were talking to me about earlier. And how do you heal? Like, I don't know. And I feel like silly ever asking questions like this, because I'm always like, oh, I feel like I should know this. But how does one heal over being like, and I'm talking about myself when I say this, but like being around someone, as in yourself, who constantly, quote unquote, lies in a sense of, you know, saying, oh, we're for sure going to wake up in the morning, we're for sure going to do it. And then you always just don't do it. I mean, like, you're basically being surrounded around a liar. That, like, how do you heal over somebody not telling you the truth, you know, in that sense? And I don't know, I feel like that's why I've struggled so much from like healing over and like believing myself when I'm like, yeah, I'm going to wake up early, I'm going to go to the gym, or like I'm going to eat healthier, like whatever I'm going to do. I'm already like, oh, I already know I'm not going to do it because I always don't do it. So it's like, why am I going to trust myself? And like that, I'll like sometimes say that out loud, which is ridiculous, but I'm like, I don't know if
it's
that
not
was
ridiculous, Desiree. It's what 90% of the population, especially here in the United States, deals with, is that we say, oh, I'm going to go on a diet soon. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to start the business. Oh, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to do it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just you, my friend. It's not just a you thing. So number one is you got to be really kind to yourself. You got to be kind to yourself. But you also got to stop making excuses and figure out what needs to be implemented in your life to make you so ridiculously uncomfortable that you don't have a choice anymore. Because I was you about 5 years ago, Desiree. And I was faced with the decision, do I continue down this road, continuing to lie to myself and breaking trust with myself, even though I'm trying as hard as I freaking can? I should be good enough to do this. I should be able to do this on my own. I shouldn't need any help. I didn't realize that I had one of the biggest egos on the planet. And I'm not saying that you do, Desiree, but you need to ask yourself that. For me, I realized I had a giant ego that was too proud to acknowledge that I needed help. I needed someone who could stand in my corner day in and day out while I was in the ring or in the arena fighting, cheering me on. And every time I'd come and sit down, would mend the cuts and give me a drink of water and tell me to get my ass back out there and keep throwing punches. I needed someone who would hold me accountable to that standard that I set for myself. And I had to have that in my life for several years. And I still do in certain areas, Desiree, certain areas that we all have weakness. We're not perfect. I am definitely not perfect. Travis will tell you. My wife will tell you. It's not about being perfect, Desiree, but it is about making yourself so ridiculously uncomfortable that you don't have excuses anymore. And for me, what that looked like in that season was financial investment. I had to pay someone an exorbitant, at the time, it felt exorbitant amount of money, because guess what? When there's tens of thousands of dollars on the line, my ass is getting out of bed in the morning. Period. I'm not negotiating with myself. It's not happening. Because I'm not wasting that money. I am going to get a return on the investment of my time, my energy, and my money. Period. End of story. I don't spend in life anymore. I don't spend anything anymore. I invest every single bit of it. My time, my energy, and my money. I don't spend. And what we all do is we get into these habits of we just spend. You need to invest, Desiree. And that means investing in something that's going to make you ridiculously uncomfortable. And you have done that being a part of this community. And if you need more of it, you need to talk with Travis. You need to talk to Chase and say, hey, I need somebody in my corner that will not let me go beneath this standard, period, end of story. And you've got to get ridiculously uncomfortable, because we change for two reasons in life. And sorry, keep going. Two things real quick. Involuntary pain or voluntary pain. Involuntary pain is the stuff you cannot expect. It's the wake-up call. It's the call from the doctor. It's a child dying. It's your spouse leaving. It's losing the job. We all have had wake-up calls to some degree. It was involuntary. It was not planned for, but it changed your life forever. The only alternative option, and fortunately the science and research has now proven this, is the alternative, voluntary pain. This is what we do when we go to the gym and we tear our muscles and we inflict pain on ourselves. We get stronger, we get better. It's the exact same thing in our emotions. It's the exact same thing in our business. It's the exact same thing in every area. Desiree, and you said one thing earlier, you said life's not fair. The beautiful thing about what you're doing here and what you're doing in your business is that business is the most fair game you will ever play in your life. Life's not fair. Business is pretty freaking fair. And so if you want to play at higher and higher and higher levels, and you want to be a high performer, high achiever that is impacting lives and serving people well and loving people well and helping them, genuinely helping them, and you want to make a crap ton of money doing it, you got to remember it's not about you. And the most effective way, Desiree, this isn't just for you, but take it, is for you to be the best version of yourself. And the best way to be the best version of yourself is to have people who help you and who believe in you, who call you up to that standard day in and day out. Because I know I can't do it on my own. I cannot do it on my own. I'll forget who I am. I'll forget my standards. I'll cheat. I'll snooze, right? We all have it within us. If you want to be great, you have to surround yourself with greatness, which requires an investment of time, energy, and money. Sometimes all three, sometimes one. But you got to get uncomfortable. Cool?
That sounds good.
All right, my friend. I believe in you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. I know we run over. I want to give Travis just a second to sign off for the group. So, and then we'll cut, and all of you that are in town, we'll see you tomorrow.
Going on, guys? Grateful for your time, David. Appreciate it very much. And for everybody being here as well. I think the thing that I want to impress upon everybody is the uncomfortability factor. To me, that's the separator in life. I think if we're going to get really, really candid with ourselves, and Desiree not calling you up, as David says, I think when you say to yourself, I'm a broke loan officer, The reality of that situation is that it's not true. And because I know your finances, and I know how many houses you own, and I know the type of car you drive. And I think if you could go back to the days when you were really broke, you'd have that same type of energy inside of you. And so when I have these, I told the guys last night at the gym, when I have these in-person meetings, or when I have to get on a stage to me that is important, I go back and I go outside and I work out, and I do three things. I do pull-ups, I do push-ups, and then I walk. And the reason that I do that is because that's what I did when I was in prison. And that's when I felt that I had the most clarity. And that's when I felt that I was the most hungry. And I'm an open book in terms of letting everybody know how I do what I do, and how much money I make, and how to make that type of money, and how to be satisfied with your life. But I'm also an open book from the perspective of, I definitely haven't found anybody that's hungrier than I am. And I live on that, and I thrive on that. And so when people come to me and they say, this is what's missing, or that's what's missing, if we're really going to be honest with ourselves, we're just not that uncomfortable. And, you know, when I'll be vulnerable and give you guys a perfect prime example. When they ask, you know, Travis, what is the thing that you want to change? The only thing that I can find in my life that I would change if I wanted to, or if I had to, or if I needed to, you know, would be my weight. And I would take it exactly 20 pounds less than where I sit right now. And I'll be honest with everybody, it's just not in me to do it. I love to go to the gym. Everyone will see me at the gym on a daily basis. I do it for the mental clarity more than I do it for the physical aspects at this point in my life. But to be totally candid, this Saturday, I got a 7-year-old birthday party. I'm going to eat so much cake. And so my lifestyle is not conducive. If Michael has a free moment, if David's in town, if Chase, I want to take everybody out to eat, and I want to eat all of it. So my lifestyle is not conducive. And so I don't lie to myself and tell myself that I'm going to be all sorts of uncomfortable at 5 a.m. at the gym, and I'm going to eat Brussels sprouts and asparagus. I'm not going to do it. And I think that's where sometimes we get tripped up. We want to have these things. Oh, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this. But maybe if you really, 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 really asked yourself, you wouldn't want to do it. You don't want to do it. And you don't want to be uncomfortable enough to do it.
God, I love you.
And that's where I think that's what separates me from everybody else. I'm totally comfortable with exactly where I'm at, and I know exactly what my demons are. So that's what I will leave you guys with right now. The uncomfortability has to be more important than where you're trying to go. The uncomfortability has to move you past where you are right now. And if it doesn't move you, well, then just quit lying to yourself that you really fucking want it, because you don't. So I'll leave you guys with that. I will see almost everybody tomorrow in person. Everybody else has my phone number, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Love you guys.